Hey guys, Lonewolf here, and today I got a video for you about the medium range optics in Battlefield 4, so that's the 3.4 times and the 4 times sights. I've been really enjoying these recently, and whilst it started off as just a little bit of fun to make the game a bit more challenging, see how I could do with a suppressed M16 and an ACOG scope, I've actually come to really like them, and I would say that I prefer them over the more standard 1 times sight in a lot of situations. There are still some weapons, some game modes, some maps on which I'd rather have one of these 1 times sights like the Hollow Sight, Cobra Sight, Coyote Sight, but particularly on Conquest Large, and especially amongst the assault rifles, I would actually prefer to take one of these medium range optics. I'm going to discuss the benefits and some of the downsides to using these different attachments, and I'm going to try and talk to you a little bit about the things you can do to make yourself better when you pick them up, because to begin with I really struggled with these. As you might expect, I think a lot of people pick up these optics and find it more difficult, and pretty swiftly they put them down again, but actually you can work around it, and I would say that once you do, you're going to be able to reach a greater maximum potential using one of these medium range sights than you can with a 1 times. I want to start off by addressing a couple of false impressions people have about using these optics. The first thing is that just by putting one of these on your weapon, you're suddenly going to have massively increased range. Unfortunately, this just isn't the case. Because of the way the damage drop-off models are set up, as well as bullet velocity and spread increase, that's just not the case. You can maybe shoot at people effectively at a slightly longer range, maybe 80 meters instead of 60 that you would have been able to accomplish with the 1 times sight, but it's really not massive. You just aren't able to dish out enough damage before they take cover, and at that point you've just given your position away and wasted ammunition. So try and train yourself not to shoot at people beyond the distances you would have done with that 1 times sight. That's a really helpful guide. The other thing that can really trip people up is the impression of higher recoil or worse accuracy. This isn't the case, it's just that you will be much more aware of it. Recoil will seem more pronounced because you have a higher level of magnification, but you actually just need to compensate for it in exactly the same way you do the 1 times sight. And for me, I've found that over time it's become easier to compensate for recoil because I can see my reticle bouncing quite so clearly on screen, as opposed to the 1 times sight where it's really much more of a wobble in the center. So I would say for recoil you will get used to this. When it comes to accuracy, using one of these optics is going to make you painfully aware of just how inaccurate weapons in Battlefield 4 really are. After a couple of shots, you're going to start to see your bullets bloom all over the place, going nowhere near where you are aiming, and this can be quite immersion breaking. However, since the most recent patch, even with a 1 times sight, I'm so aware of the fact that my bullets aren't going anywhere near where my sights are that it doesn't make a huge difference to me. Weapons in this game feel far more akin to a paintball gun than they do a firearm, and to be honest, after about half a magazine with some weapons, you really would be better off throwing bullets at your enemy if accuracy was your primary concern. So it doesn't make a huge difference to me. As far as immersion goes, there is no authenticity here, so I would much rather be able to see where my bullets are going and try and deal with that than just ignore the issue altogether. No one ever said that you should try mag dumping with weapons as an effective means of taking down an enemy, but previously it was much more possible to just tap shoot and try and control the spread that way. Now you've really got to land those first couple of shots if you want to take them down, otherwise you've got to wait for the weapon to reset, and at least with an ACOG scope you can see when the weapon is becoming completely uncontrollable, so you know when to let go of the trigger and wait a second. For me, the added awareness of spread, and to a lesser degree recoil, has been a huge benefit. However, you're also going to be much more aware of bullet drop and bullet travel time. I almost always use suppressors on my assault rifles, and even so I'm able to hit people at 60 to 80 meters and take them down quite effectively. This is because I'm familiar with the bullet velocity, and using the ACOG scope I can see exactly how far ahead of them I really need to aim. So I would say that for long range targets, particularly moving ones, using an ACOG scope does give you a benefit, but again, don't try and shoot beyond that maximum range you would have done for stationary targets with your 1 times optic. And that really leads on to the key benefit of using one of these medium range sights, and that is improved accuracy within your effective range. If somebody is head glitching, I know they've tried to correct that, but it's still viable to a degree, or if they're crouching behind something to the side of something, at medium range, it's much easier to put shots into them with an ACOG scope because you can aim for a specific part of the body, even if it's just their leg showing. This of course means you can also aim for the head much easier, which has been a huge benefit for me because it really cuts down my time to kill, and it means that if you're trying to deal with a group of enemies where your magazine size might be a bit of a problem, you can shoot at someone and you can put 6 shots into them quite reliably, and you know when to stop. You can see that probably colored hit marker for most of you, showing you that the target is going down, and you can see that instantly. You can see their body change posture as they die, and you can switch to the next target much quicker, but you can also make sure that you're not missing shots along the way, as you often would with one of the one-time sights. The difficulty with using something like the holographic sight or the Cobra sight is you'll often aim for an extremity, something like the arm or the leg, or sometimes even the head, and just land 1 or 2 shots and then miss several before the spread starts to get more shots on target. As a result, you're going to find that the number of bullets you take to take down a target is much higher than you will with an ACOG scope, where you can actually see where the bullets are going. You can make sure each one of them is landing. So I'm able to take down 3 or 4 enemies, even in close quarters, much more reliably with one of these medium range sights than I ever could with the one-times. And it just comes down to being able to see the target much clearer. I've deliberately left the biggest drawback to using one of these optics until last, and I think this is probably going to be the reason why most people avoid them, and that's the excessive zoom in close quarters. Using an ACOG scope or any of these 3.4 times or 4 times sights does require you to effectively quickscope or flick shot targets, which for me I don't find very difficult. And so long as you have a fairly low sensitivity, to give you an idea of what I would consider a fairly low sensitivity, something like 800 DPI with an in-game sensitivity in Battlefield of around 10 to 15%, that's fairly low. And you need to make sure you're running uniform soldier aiming, of course. Providing you have those things, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to flick to a target, aim down sights and shoot them pretty quickly, and you'll even be able to go for the head, so you shouldn't have too much difficulty there. So as far as taking down one enemy, it really isn't a huge problem for me in close quarters. I can just flick to them and take them out in much the same way as I do with a one-time sight, and so long as I've taken note of where everyone is before ADS, I should be able to switch to those targets fairly easily, knowing exactly how much of a mouse movement I need to make to go to the next target. The other thing you can do is, as soon as you've killed the first target, briefly let go of ADS to expand your field of view, and as soon as you see the next target, you can then hit that button again, and so you can start your movement in that direction. That way you're not really going to slow yourself down too much. I would say that mostly you're still going to be faster if you can identify where everyone is and work out exactly what mouse movement you need to make ahead of time, but if you need to, you should get used to and quite comfortable with aiming down sights and coming out of ADS very quickly. Where it could be a bit of a problem for some people is those who like to aim down sights to cover an area. So rather than just stay at a hipfire stance and then aim down sights when they see someone, they like to keep their sights up and then switch to them and shoot. I personally don't like to do this because I don't like to stand still that often, but if you are one of those people, then using an ACOG scope is going to limit your field of view to a point where this won't be as viable. If you know someone's about to come around a corner, then by all means, pre-scope that corner, and if anything, it'll probably be easier to take them down with a headshot. So if you haven't already, I really recommend you give these optics a fair try. I've been really enjoying them, and I would say that they might even make me a slightly better player overall. They're certainly not making me any worse than I was with the one-time sights. As far as weapons you could use them on, I would say stay clear of them on the really high rate of fire weapons. Stuff like the AEK and the FAMAS it's probably not appropriate for, but the F2000 is still just about okay, and anything that fires slower than that. You also probably want to stay clear on the PDWs and some of the light machine guns. The M240 Bravo, for example, I found to be completely unusable because of the spread increase. But with some of the other LMGs, particularly the slower firing ones, but even stuff like the AWS with the 3.4 times optic, I found them to be quite useful. Let me know what you think of them, however, if you try them out down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Yes. Nice.
Is this guy near the thing? Just sit back. Bombs drop.
Yeah, bomb is down.
No. These are gonna get this.
Oh god, fuck!
Reviving.
There's so many.
There was a guy next
This is more good than the rest of my team, though.
I was planting the bomb.
Oh no! Hey, look at the pile of dead bodies. Oh god, get on it now, man.
Go.
Get it, Jester, I'm covering.
Yeah, it's staying. Oh my god.
Complete and utter chaos.
Everyone's dead, this whole team's dead.
Oh my god, that was super intense.
Outstandingly good job, guys. Well
Oh my
done.
god. They defended really well though. That was so close to not being a thing.
Oh god. Yes.
luckily spawned in.